Revisit this after the meeting, or what do you think we should do?
Okay, cool.
Whatever you want. My recommendations aren't heard, so why would I?
No, I understand.
Whatever, it's whatever you want to do. I'm good with whatever.
Okay.
I mean, it's clearer now. We said it about the whole house. And that's why, but we at least can, that's what I want to do.
Whatever works. Whatever works. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just,
I-
you are my confidant, you know?
But I gave you my confidant opinion and you guys said no. So I mean, I don't know what more I can give you.
These two, you got time for the meeting Friday morning, you know?
I screwed up.
I don't think I have.
Let's
that
just
on
do
my
this. It's
calendar.
gonna be rough.
Oh, I do, yes.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
Yes, I mean,
Maybe,
you think so?
Uh-huh.
there's just two places.
You
to
want me
look
to
at.
run through the things again first?
Yeah,
Uh,
10 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, all
Talk
right.
about
yeah,
real quick, because we're pretty much down to the end. I pretty much know what we spent.
okay. All right.
Meet at the
Double.
11:07.
6:03.
Okay, let's do this. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending. People are not listening to me. This is a business meeting open to members of the Nepenthe Association and guests of the board. The Nepenthe Board of Directors is a policy board, and the role of the manager is to observe the day-to-day operations. The primary purpose of this meeting is to ensure that the association is meeting its responsibility to provide oversight, maintain the value of the property, and to serve the homeowners. The board met this afternoon in executive session, and we approved, no, I should say we actually tabled two proposals, siding proposals that we needed more information on. We approved the Grove Tree Work Proposal Zone 3, the tree work for $21,635 anonymous, and Zone 4 tree work at the amount of $22,360 also approved. Proposal 1, homeowner request. We also approved that for $24,395 anonymous. And I'm sorry, yes, I can't even read my own writing here. The proposal 2A, homeowner request, we tabled. 2B, homeowner request, we tabled. Number 3, homeowner request, we approved.
In what amount?
$980. No,
And
that's,
just a side note, sorry to interrupt, but I will provide in depth what these proposals are in the newsletter on Friday. So when we put that in the newsletter, I'll put a full description of what all these proposals are for. Just side clarification.
yeah, because there are a lot of addresses. I mean, I'll be here for another hour if I read all these different addresses down. And then also proposal 5, we approved that the amount of $18,060, and number 6 at $9,510 was approved as well. Then there was the sparkling pool service, the spa light at $1,950 was approved, and the CPA engagement at the amount of $2,170 was approved. And you're going to have this all in the Friday update, correct? Okay. So then next we have actually a guest here, Paul Reeves. would like to explain to us a little bit about or give us an update on the siding project. Thank you for coming and telling us a little bit about what's almost finished and the second phase that's going to start soon. So,
Okay, well, always, thanks, everybody. And as Marcus said, I'm Paul Reeves. I'm your project manager, and I represent you to the contractors who are doing the work. And first off, real quick, show of hands, who's phase one? Who's had to endure all this? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Phase one, who's had to endure 2 years of mess. Okay, phase two, who gets it next? Phase two. Okay, so that gives me an idea. And everybody else would be phase three. Okay, so back to that. Phase one took exactly twice as long as it was supposed to. When we finish next month, beginning of September, we will be at 24 months. It was supposed to take 12. The original dollar amounts for the siding, fencing, trim, and the full paint was 1.129 million. That was almost doubled to this. We've got all of our change orders and all of our inspections done up to the last home. We still have 15 of them left to finish as of last Tuesday. I didn't take a new count today. They hope to, we're going to do a little bit of overlap. They hope to be finished towards the end of next week, and they're going to call me to do my final inspections and start pulling in the painters for the last dozen homes. So our total siding, trim, and paint for phase one was $2.7 million for all of that. Knowing that and having the opportunity of last year, we did 8 units ahead of time on Vanderbilt in phase two. So we looked at what we had for damage. We did the inspections of the 219 homes in phase two, and we came up with the money for that on the budgets. Knowing what we have now with the history that we're finding, it's almost the exact same amount of sheets to be replaced. We've completed 8 homes, so we're going to have 211 to do. The siding and the trim part will be 1.4 million. The fencing part is the big one. It's the real difference. It's going to be almost the same lineal footage amount of fence and the same number of gates. Our original fencing for phase one was 153,000, which we know was way short. And our current budget for phase two is going to be 628,000. Painting, we had no change orders with paint. Paint was pretty straightforward with Progressive Painting. And the cost of the painting only went up per unit. The cost increase was in the paint. The labor actually stayed the same. Even though his insurance went up, he kept the labor the same. So we're going to be looking at about $2,063,000 is our projected budget. What the people in phase two have had to look at since I did my inspections in April of last year are all the black Sharpie marks, all the X's on everything. Those were all the dry rot we could find in our inspections then. What we're looking at now is 14 months later, how much more dry rot do we have? How much has it increased? And looking at our schedule and looking at the first 15 homes that we're going to be doing on Vanderbilt, I see an 8% increase in the cost. An additional dry rot that's right next to what I had marked a year ago. So I anticipate an 8 or 10% increase through the course of the phase two budget. And to give you an idea, the board is hearing that for the very first time from me. That was today, part of what I was doing. We'll jump into phase two. Has everybody seen this yet? Did everybody get emailed or picked up a copy of the phase two? Nicole and I are doing patio inspections as we go in and start. The first thing we do, thanks to Nicole, she actually printed a schedule where once a month we'll be doing 20 to 25 different patios where we come and look and see what we need to request you to move, or trees that need to be trimmed or bushing. And this gives me another opportunity to look at the siding and the fencing and the condition inside the patios. The repair schedule, which we've never really had before in phase one. There's two different versions of it in here. This version is a little more straightforward. It shows each address and the approximate days for siding and trim to complete for the repairs. In the back of this document is the detail from the contractor showing what will be done, and as we go along, what's actually part of the process. What's not included in this is through phase one, the contractor was providing anywhere from 7 to 10 carpenters per day. This has been increased to 14 to 16 people a day. So we're anticipating, instead of taking 24 months, we can still do the 2,000 sheets of siding and all its appropriate trim within 14 months. We look at a possible end date of October of 25, believe it or not. We're already planning for that. If we look at our standard last 2 years, we've lost 4 weeks during the course of winter to rain for the carpenters. So that would put us at the end of November of 2025 for that. Something else we're also going to do different for phase two. Has everyone seen the map of travel? Okay, everybody thank Jay for this, because she's the actual one that did this. Literally took my crayon page and fixed this up for it. And then this afternoon, we were discussing what I'm going to do before my report on about the 19th of each month is I'm going to go through and color in each unit, the ones that are completed, siding and trim, excuse me, and then I'll use a second color that shows the ones that have been painted. So that way you guys can actually look at the map and see, oh, okay, they're coming down through here and they're going this way, and you can have a better chance to anticipate when we're going to be getting to your home. So that's for that. I want to thank everybody for all your cooperation. It's been wonderful. This spring we had our superintendent pass away for the construction company. It was very difficult. That actually was very difficult. It was very hard on the family because he was one of the 3 brothers who worked for that company. His oldest brother has taken his place here. So if you see Luis, he was Mike's oldest brother, is Michael's older brother. And from a business standpoint, that cost us 4 weeks. So that's something that doesn't matter when it comes to Mike not being here, but that also is part of what delays this project. So we're very fortunate to have the same crew that we've been having, and we anticipate having them. Also, Progressive Painting has changed how they're going to be doing the paint on the units. We're now going to have 4 painters here stationed full-time, and they're working now to get caught up to Mike, or not Mike, but to CPR. And then we anticipate, and we've scheduled where they will be 2 weeks behind the carpenters going forward through phase 2. So you know that as the carpenters are done, and I've come through and looked at it and signed off on the repairs, that the painters will be scheduled within 2 weeks after that. We're hoping that the weather doesn't mess that up. The rain really delays the painters. But if it does, Progressive has said they can give me another crew or more people to add to that crew, and we can catch back up. Because their anticipation is they want to be done in 14 months too. So that's a brief rundown of what we're doing. What I would like to offer is if anybody has any questions, to leave them at the office or email the office. Nicole will make sure I answer them. And I'll either mail them directly to you, or if you want to leave your phone number, I'll come talk to you. More than happy to do that. I've got someone today reached out, wants to meet with me on what we're going to do for siding. And, or if somebody asks the same question multiple times, we'll put it in the newsletter. So with that, I'm going to ask the board if they have any questions.
Um, it's not quite clear to me about the permits for the city permits. I see those permits have to be paid and get pulled on a regular basis. Are they per units or clustered together? How do they issue permits to us?
You would have to ask that one. So how we've worked it out with the city is the city understands how many permits I'm going to ask for within a given period of time. A permit is for the entire building. If it's a freestanding home, if it's the duplex, or if it's one of the 5-unit buildings, one permit covers what we call one continuous roof. If all the roof meets, that permit is for that building. That's why when we did the 8 buildings at Vanderbilt last year, one of the main reasons, by the time we made the investment with one permit, it was going to cover the whole building anyway. They wouldn't give me a discount to just do 1 unit. It was, no, you're paying the full price permit. And if you only do 1 unit, you got to come back next year, pay that permit cost again and start over. So that's one of the things we look at when you see us, when we have an emergency and we've got a wall breach and we got water coming in or something's happened and we need to take it, we really try to do the whole building envelope at that time. It's a rare case that we don't. Does that answer what you want?
Thank you. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So, Paul, how is it determined that certain bushes get taken out in order to be able to access things? You know, were bids from these folks made that way, or how do we determine that we're going to pull out some plants and not plants in other places?
So one of the things about the original proposal and the current phase 2 proposal is for them to do the work, we only have to prune back the trees and the bushes that are against the building and are keeping them from getting to the building. And their proposals were based on pruning back enough so they could have access to the wall. That was that's what their pricing was based on. We all did job walks together, so we all have history here, so we know how much of that was going to need to get done. What we've discovered doing through phase 1 and my inspections in phase 2, a lot of moisture has been held against the siding, not just from the irrigation, but from the plants themselves. And I looked at one yesterday on Vanderbilt that siding isn't 10 years old and it's rotten. It's going to have to be replaced. And the bushes have gotten big and they're right up against the wall. And even though it's on a drip system, when it waters, it just doesn't always drain away. And the moisture in the height of a 4-foot tall bush is holding the moisture against the wall. So I'm asking for stuff as a minimum to be cut back 12 to 16 inches. That's caused a huge controversy, huge. And I'll put it to you this way. You don't have to do it, but 8 years from now, we're going to go back to phase 1 and spend another $2 million. So the board and the people I'm asking to, hey, this is what caused this damage. Can we fix this? This downspout's buried in the mud. That's what caused this damage. This drainage isn't right. Can we fix that? So I'm trying to show the board that these are the things that caused the damage. And can we fix it? So we're not doing this again in 10 or 12 years. We want to get back into a cycle where it should cost half this much, basically.
Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Again, I want to thank everybody. Really, there's what, 600 homes here? Everybody on the crew talks about how nice everybody is. They're constantly giving them water. The crews have been given food. This is messy. It's noisy. They're blocking your driveways. There's trucks parked everywhere. Painters, they have to come in and make a huge mess. They have no choice. Everybody is being more than, I just can't express how nice it is, how everybody's trying to help. And speaking with the crews today, everybody wanted me to tell you that they really appreciate everybody helping them out. That really makes a difference. So thank you all for that. And when you see me, say hi. If you have any questions, again, please send it to the office. I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you want to email the office, they'll get it to me. We can set a time if you want to walk around your house and see what we're going to be doing or what we did and you don't know why. I'm more than happy to answer those questions. And you guys have a good night.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Next is a general manager report.
Just briefly, we're still continuing. Thank you. We're still continuing concrete repairs. So we're moving into zone 4 this week, and then heading into 5, 6, and 7 the following weeks following that. You're going to see pink spray paint on the ground and probably cones around the area. Just beware. And also feel free to also report any trip hazards that you do see in the community to me. I'm currently collecting like a kind of a catch-all proposal for all the miscellaneous concrete work that we've missed throughout the community now, going through all the zones. So if you see anything near your home or on your, I know a lot of you walk. So if you see anything in the community that's a trip hazard and it's not painted in that bright pink, please let me know because I will address it immediately. So that's just my little caveat there. He touched a lot on phase 2. If you haven't received an informational packet, there are some in the office here. I did print in black and white for saving costs. So if you want a color map or anything like that, please let me know and I'm happy to print one for you. Phase 2 is a week delayed. So it was scheduled to start on August 5th. We're looking at August 12th now, like Paul said, with a little bit of overlap next week, finishing out phase 1 and starting phase 2. We are still in the process of website redesign, so don't think we forgot about that. Coming soon there. And then recall election update. So I wanted to touch base on this for a second. And actually, Jay, can you do me a favor and share the screen for the document that I have on the desktop? I've gotten a few questions on how this ballot's going to work. So you're going to receive a ballot in this week. They're scheduled to be mailed out tomorrow. So, but I've had some questions on how am I supposed to vote for this thing? So your recall is going to have 2 different portions on it, okay? So the first portion is, do you want to recall the selected director? Yes or no? Plain simple, do you want that person recalled or not, okay? The second question is, if the person is recalled, who do you want as the replacement? And I want to be really clear that regardless of your answer in number 1, you still answer number 2. So even if you say, no, I don't want the person recalled, I'm still going to select a new director to get voted in. Does that make sense to everybody? Is there any questions on the ballot? And I will answer while I'm up here. No? Okay, if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you don't have my contact information, come find me after the meeting. I'm happy to discuss any questions you may have. I don't want you not to vote or not to feel included because you're unsure of the process. So just let me know. And that's it. That's all I have.
Nicole, is it correct that they, instead of bringing returned ballots to the office, they get mailed in?
Oh, that is absolutely correct. Do not bring your ballot here. We are not affiliated with the election at all, like in other normal elections. It's going all through ballot box. You will send the ballot to the address that's listed on the ballot. So once you receive that, and there's also contact information for ballot box. So if you have any questions regarding the process or anything, you can reach out to them and they are there to assist you. So if you have any questions I can answer basic stuff too, so I don't mind helping there. But anything in terms of turning in your ballots, things like that, they need to go to ballot box. The association is not taking ballots.
This has nothing to do with the recall. It's just a follow-up. Did we get any information back about the survey for the Swarthmore for those redwood trees?
Yes.
Oh, we did.
So they're done with the survey.
Yeah.
And they basically are waiting to release the survey until they get full payment of the invoice, which is really strange. I've never had a vendor do that before. I have submitted a rush payment for that invoice and hoping to receive the survey the next day or so, once they clear that. It's a 24-hour rush check process, so they should
So
have
we
gotten it by now.
have no detail. They won't give us any details as to what their findings were.
I have a gist, but I'm not going to speak on it until the survey comes out.
So perhaps before the next grounds meeting?
Yeah,
possibly?
I mean, it should be the next couple of days. If I don't hear from them by Friday morning, then
Okay,
they're going to be
That's
hearing
great.
from me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question about the water valve inspections. This is all completed?
Water valve. What are you asking me?
Valves, the $8,500 valves that we had to inspect on an annual basis.
Oh, the backflow.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, they're
they're
done.
done?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see it on the list. Okay. Then water meters, any updates on that?
They're done. I mean, there's really nothing left there. They're going to start, the association will start assessing on our end in January. We'll obviously explain this more in detail as it
Yeah.
goes out. We're not even in that stage yet. But we got to work the water meter billing into the budget and go from there. So I will work with people I need to work with for the budget, and then we'll go forward from there. And once we get concrete details on what that's going to look like, I'll send out communication.
Okay, any other questions? Not yet. Later.
No, there are no debates. No debates. So they have your ballots will include candidate statements from the two that are running. And so you can read those and kind of get a gist of them. Use the statement, yeah.
All right, okay.
Nicole, can
Thank
you
you.
hear me? This is Alan Waters.
I can hear. Can you stop sharing?
I have a question about the returning the ballots. The
Yes.
information page I got from your company says that the ballots will be accepted at the meeting location on September 18th. Is that a mistake?
Yes.
Okay.
They shouldn't be accepted because ballots close the day before, I believe. I'll have to
Says-
check on that, Alan.
Yes, it says the deadline is noon on September 16th. So it's in the latest mailing from them. So I just wanted to ask about that. Thank you.
Where do you see that?
It's in the large paragraph in the middle, the third paragraph. Second sentence from the end. Ballots will also be accepted at the meeting location on September 18th. Which sounds like it's a mistake.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Let me, I'll talk to Ballot Box. I'll send out in my Friday update, I'll send out a clarification on that. I'll talk
Thank
to
you.
Ballot Box. No, they are virtual. They'll be here virtually, Zoom. Yeah.
Jay.
They're based out of Nevada. You'll get your ballot. I don't want to go into like the little details on the ballot. Just when you get your ballot, if you have any questions on it, just let me know. Okay. Just wait till you see the ballot. I just don't want to go too deep into this. This isn't like homeowner forum or anything. I just wanted to give a statement on how to do your ballot. And if you have any specific questions like that, just feel free to email me and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Committee updates. Architectural Committee, Alan Waters.
I am Alan Waters. The board has our minutes in front of you all. Do you have any questions for me? Or comments?
No, I guess nobody has a question. Thank you, Alan. We need to vote on. Okay, I'll second it.
Okay.
This one here.
Sorry, my mic was
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Outreach Committee, Marcy Best. No.
Hello, I'm Marcy Best. Update on 4th of July, we had a great turnout. We sold all our hot dogs and everybody had a great time and we all went home before it got to be 104. So next is Bunko, which is this Thursday, coming Thursday. Jerry, is it 6 o'clock or 6:30? 6 o'clock. Okay, and that is just come and roll the dice and see what happens. You don't have to have any lessons. And it's just a lot of fun. And you rotate through tables, so you get a chance to meet a whole bunch of people in one night. So it's good. Then we have Music by the Pool, which is on September 8th at 6 o'clock. This is the Howling Allen Band. And this guy is just a whole lot of fun. He happens to be my neighbor, kind of crazy, but he will play music till you just can dance your feet off. He's just great. And that is about it. We don't have anything else scheduled. And we'll start working on Halloween. So if anybody has any great ideas for Halloween, let us know. Okay, any questions? Nope.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you, Marcy. Grounds Committee, Jim Shaw.
Good evening. Very brief remarks. Most of our work in July has passed through the system, so I cut my homework in half. But two notes that might be of interest. The first is during our July meeting, our liaison, Christina George, mentioned that Nick Schubert, who's the Carson Landscape Specialist on Assembly Bill 1572, will be joining our committee meeting on August 15. And it's an item of intense interest. And he'll be offering remarks, and if there's time left over, maybe even a little time for questions and answers. And the second item is that the Grove Tree Management folks have all but completed their annual risk assessment walks of all 7 zones. So with the final zone 7, I believe it's 7, which will occur later in August, they will have completed their annual contract and their risk assessment about what needs help and what doesn't in their best professional estimate. And that's it. Short and sweet.
Well,
So at the last meeting, I think it was Mary Gray who asked if we track the landscape requests. And I did say yes at the time. So I just want to ask you, Nicole, because you set up a very good tracking system here in the work orders. So could you just explain how that, what you're doing?
Yeah, so I guess long story short, when we get a service request in, we immediately put it into our work order system and generates a work order number to track it. It doesn't just get received by the office and then lost in the abyss, and who knows where that goes. So now we scan them into the work order, so we have the original service request in there as an attachment, but we go through and we individually type out the service request into the work order. All the notes in there, and then forward it to grounds for review. And we're tracking it and putting notes in every month as to where that service request is at.
Yeah, and I'm finding that extremely useful because when we do our walks, what I've tried to do with the walk notes is to actually add the work order number as well. And just going through that list, I think it really is able for the zone stewards to keep track and for all of us. And I think that system is really working well. So it's
Yes,
good.
compliments to your office.
Yeah. It's a good tracking system, so.
Just while we've got a nice group here tonight, when a homeowner has a problem or an issue, the first direct person or persons you can contact are right around the corner in the office. There's a form to be filled out. And in order for us to really responsibly respond, take a few minutes, fill it out. And there are three general buckets that that request falls into. Two are what we call contract buckets. If there's an irrigation issue, or if there's a maintenance issue. Through this system, they are automatically routed to the appropriate contractor. Nobody else has to get in the way. The third bucket, the smaller bucket, is the one that's labeled Grounds Committee. And that's kind of the everything else bucket. So if you've got duff under your shrub or some other thing that might be itching your scratch or whatever you want to call it, it comes to us. And you'll note that in Marcus's reports tonight, that a number of homeowner requests were discussed, approved, and sent to the board for action. That's how they got started. Front office, down from general manager liaison to chair committee, discussion, help from the stewards who make the ultimate call in terms of, is this a legitimate request or one that really the owner needs some help? Comes back to us, we vote on it, and our vote is a recommendation. It's not binding, it's we refer. So I suppose you could say that the grounds committee's charter is observe, assess, and refer, or what you could call recommend. Real simple, an acronym OR. And as we can say now, after a couple of months under our belt, thanks again to the manager's office and to Jay. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. I didn't see Jackie for ILS. Leslie or Ricardo, are you guys gonna give a report?
I think the only thing of significance in the minutes is that we did look at some proposals from Securitas about what they would recommend to increase security. And you can see that the proposals, the largest one was quite expensive. Assuming that you didn't want to spend a couple $100,000, we recommended that certain more incremental steps be taken to improve security, in particular in these common areas, which would include hardening the gates and some of the fences. So I think we did a reasonable job laying it out in the minutes. Dumbarton is the weak point for sure, but the gates here, while the push bars are great, is still not adequate. I personally saw, I happened to be sitting out here and I saw a kid jump over the fence to get inside without a card. And they just grabbed the top of the gate and they, so you need to somehow make sure they can't grab the top of the gate. That's the bottom line. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Finance Committee, Carol. All right, thank you. For the people on Zoom, she said nothing tonight. So we have for the election committee, we have an application. We'll discuss this another time. And then we got homeowner correspondence. Does everybody have a chance to look at the correspondence? Any questions? Yes.
Just take a look. Yes. Curious about the reservation system for the tennis courts. Is there anything like online, Nicole, that we have an app or First Service has anything? Because I'm sure you have a lot, rather than this blackboard and chalk.
We do. So through the Connect Resident portal for the website that First Service offers, you can actually create amenities. So in this case, pickleball courts, tennis courts, things like that. And you can reserve time slots through that portal. So there are systems that could assist with that.
So you would have to actually log into Connect.
Correct.
So is that something one could look at, or
We
what's your
could.
opinion?
We could. I don't know how effective that would be because this community doesn't really utilize the First Service website the way I've seen other communities do, just because you have the NepenteHOA.com and everyone's kind of used to that. But
that's
it
an
is something that I can maybe
option.
talk to the website developer.
Yeah.
Since we're doing the website redesign, this
Yeah.
might be the perfect time to try to kind of build something.
Yeah.
So I can talk to him and see what he can maybe create for the site, because I know that he had to recreate that lovely interactive map that everybody likes on the Nepenthe HOA
Very
website right
nice.
now.
I like
But that software is really outdated, so we actually had to recreate it so that we could have that version still for the new website. So he's pretty savvy, so I can
So
figure out
maybe we
something.
can talk about, figure out an option for.
I mean, it's worth
because-
at least looking into.
Yeah, looking in,
Yeah.
because we've also got the Commons courts as well, so.
Yeah, good point. Okay. You get us maybe a report or so for next meeting. All right, thank you. Homeowner correspondence, follow-up. Cheryl, you did the majority on this. Thank you very much. Any-
Yeah, I think it's important that everybody know that these are a draft that the entire board participates in, that everybody participates. It shouldn't be, Cheryl, you did it. It's, everybody gets to review it and add to it. And it's a document that's from the entire board, not from any one board, because we don't act alone, but it's the entire board that writes these and approves these before they come out. But thank you.
Any questions on that? Okay. All right, then we come to the open session minutes that we need to approve. Does anybody want to approve them?
I approve the.
I'll second them.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Financial statement. Anybody want to approve that?
I'll approve that.
And I'll second it.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries. All right, thank you. Now we're coming to the homeowner forum. As always, shall I start on the left? Anybody on the left? Anybody on the right? Okay, Bill White. Okay, then we'll finish it.
It's not about a tree. My name is Bill White. I live at 718 Elmhurst Circle. What I want to talk about tonight is some of the excessive watering that's going on here in Nepenthe, in particular down at the end of Commons in the Circle. I walk my dog through there every day, and for the last 2 months, the irrigation has been going on in that circle every day of the week but one day. It floods the street. I have photographs of it. I've sent photographs to Nicole. I showed some to you also. Apparently, Carson is incapable of figuring out how to turn off the sprinklers. The only thing, if I was conspiracy theorists, I think they wanted to make the lawn in front of Cheryl's house look beautiful, but I know that's not the case. But it's ridiculous. We're wasting water. It's flooding the street. It's damaging the street. And this time next year, you and I in this room will be paying for that water that's running down the drain every day of the week except one day. So I can't understand why we can't get Carson to fix the sprinklers. Now, I looked, we're in violation of the city code. The restriction is 3 days a week. We're watering 7 days a week, but it's 3 days odd and 3 days even. So maybe Carson is looking at the circle as being odd and even, so they can do 6 days. If that's the case, they're being really bad about it. But the other thing is you're not supposed to flood the street, and they flood the street. And again, I've got them on my phone for the last 2 weeks. I can show you day after day of the street being flooded. So I just wish we could stop it. Next year, we're all going to be paying for it. Right now, we're not paying for it because we just pay the flat rate because the city can't figure out how to bill us. But hopefully not, but by next year, they're going to be billing us for our water use. So I just wish we could look into having Carson do their job. And I'm probably wrong in the way I did it by sending emails and pictures. I should have filled out the form that Jim mentioned, but anyway.
So two things. One, yes, I received your email and immediately sent it to Carson. So they're looking into it right now. That's all I have. I don't have an update from them, but they are aware of the situation and they have the photos that you sent me and we sent them off right away. And two, you're already paying for common area water. It's the residential inside your house that we're not paying for right now. So we're already paying for the common area irrigation. I just wanted to clarify.
But once we start being billed for the use for this whole place, the more water we use is gonna.
Well, yeah. Statistically, yeah.
It's gonna cost us. So we need,
Yeah.
we need to figure it out. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill. Leslie?
Leslie Arnell, Vanderbilt. Is the tennis reservation system, has that been approved in some fashion? You're making it sound like it was a done deal. If it's a done deal,
No, we were just
Okay,
looking at
exploring.
options.
Okay. What I wanted to emphasize in support of it is that the population, the tennis playing population has grown, which is great, but there's been some new people move in and we all, at least for a weekend warrior like I am, I don't know the weekdays very well, but weekend warrior like I am, we all tend to show up on the mornings, right? Saturday, Sunday morning. And if we have guests, like I occasionally do from Elk Grove, and we show up and there's not a court available, then it's awkward at best. So that's why now a reservation system is needed, whereas it wasn't before, because the population wasn't as heavy. I'm glad it's busier, don't get me wrong, but we do need a system now. The second thing is these courts down the street really need to be maintained. They're filthy, they can be slippery at times and therefore dangerous. And they would offer a relief valve for the tennis courts here if they were playable. So I'm hoping to encourage cleanup, washing of all the courts, but those as well. Thank you.
Just as an update, we did approve a proposal last month for cleaning of the courts, but unfortunately the person didn't show up. So in the meantime, Nicole has actually ordered the equipment, which has just come in, and we will be having our handyman wash the courts because the main clubhouse, these courts are pretty bad, including the pickleball courts and the commons. So it's in hand now. She just got the equipment yesterday, so it's all going to be taken care of. Yes.
I got to tell you, I'm one of the types that would say, I don't mind volunteering my time. I mean, I'm happy to clean the courts.
I actually I said our handyman, I would help him too. I said, I'll put on tennis. It's
yeah.
important to the community. So I'll put on tennis shoes and I'll clean that
No,
court too.
this is rather difficult because you have to use a water broom, which we've just got in, and it's not the simplest thing. So the
Okay.
handyman is also going to be looking at YouTube, but he'll be the guy who will be handling that.
Yeah.
And we've also got some better squeegees as well, which is more suitable for the courts, which we have here. So,
Okay,
yeah,
very good. Thank
all
you.
in
I
hand.
know how important the courts are to this community, so I'm on the same page as I want to clean them up. I want to make them enjoyable and
Right.
playable for everyone.
Never see anyone over there on University, but you do see players down here. And I might add the access is going to have to be addressed. I mean, I have a key from years ago, but
So actually, funny you should mention that. We just rekeyed it today. So
telling me I'm going to have to crawl over the fence, just.
So if you have, I was gonna put this in my Friday update, you're just really quick. So if you need a new key, you can come get one from us and we're gonna log moving forward who has keys and have a secure system, because I don't know how many people have keys out there. And hopefully my goal is to make an electronic system over there, just like everywhere else. We don't have this key situation, but for a temporary security situation, they've been rekeyed.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And I think it would be also good if we could say, please don't hand out the keys to friends.
Yeah. Okay. And then Ashley had her hand up too. Yeah, I'm gonna look into it. So we'll see what our options are.
Ricardo? Yeah, it's for the people on Zoom. They can't hear you if you sit down.
Open it at 1013 Dunbar Circle. I'm in my Jim Closo, excuse my appearance. Just kind of a matter of community safety. About a couple weeks ago, somebody came to my door, looks like a clean-cut guy, and he was selling spider web cleanup services. And I was kind of in a rush. I had cycled over here and I was a little overheated and had some other place to go. And it was like $800, and he said $60 a month. I said, well, leave me the paperwork. I'm an engineer. I have to read everything and research. He says, well, I don't have it, but I can come back later. And I talked to one of my neighbors, and she was a little nervous when she had either talked to him through her security door or whoever. So I just think we just need to be cognizant of salespeople that come around and just knock on your door randomly and don't seem to be properly credentialed with at least leaving something documented what company they represent and what they're trying to sell. So just kind of point that out that I happen to, I live off an alley off.
He
of
came to
Dunbarton.
my house too.
He seemed like a nice guy, but I didn't understand what exactly included in the services and why he couldn't leave anything.
He
in paper.
pointed to my neighbor's house and called her name, and I know that name is not the right name. So, thank you. Nina?
Hello, Nina White on Dunbarton Circle. I know that last year we had a pretty good sized dues increase, and I know it's budget season. So I am requesting this year that we try our hardest to keep the budget flat for next year, so it evens out over time. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Will, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah. We're starting to get communications out about the pending recall election. So I thought I'd like to give a little perspective in 2 senses. One, as I previously stated, in my 8 years on the board and my roughly 12 years on finance, only one person in here has ever devoted more time, energy, and effort to Nepenthe, which was Otis Turner. And of course, Otis is no longer with us, than Christina has. So having served on the board with her and served in finance when she was on the board, I would just like to point that out. Secondly, point out that this issue that's being raised, in my 8 years on the board, nobody ever even noticed the fact that somehow when drafting the procedures, the 4 officers, the treasurer, secretary, president, and vice president were designated as officers. And then in the context of the contracting paragraph, it said the officers can obligate the Nepenthe on a contract. Everybody needs to understand that whoever signs that document, which is really a ministerial function, is simply carrying out the instructions of the board. The board has already had to vote a majority for the contract, and the person who signs it has not any authority to do that without the board having passed it. Now, you know, by searching through the bylaws, apparently, you know, this is what good attorneys get paid a lot of money for, searching for you know, for the gotcha. And so there's a gotcha that may or may not apply. Apparently council doesn't even think it applies. But whether it does or whether it doesn't, people should understand exactly what it is, that when the at-large member affixes their contract, all they're doing is carrying out the wishes of the board, which have already occurred, and the majority of the board has already voted for that contract. So, and the board, by the way, has a right to delegate that authority to anybody. They're going to delegate it to the manager if they chose to. So enough said on my part. I just think that people should understand this is essentially a tempest in a teapot.
Thank you, Will. Jay, can you look at the chat?
So there's a question in the chat that says, from Bonnie on Swarthmore, is there a way to explain to homeowners why some HOA board issues are discussed in closed sessions versus open session? Yes, I mean, the basic way is that some things are just sensitive information and needs to be in closed executive session. So things like legal litigation issues, personnel issues, if someone's delinquent, violations, contracts, there's a bunch of things that would kind of fall in that boat, but they are limited to those number of things that they can discuss in executive. Anything that doesn't fall in one of those buckets would be open session. Hope that answers that.
Thank you. Ashley, I guess.
Well, I wrote a letter. I don't know if who read it, but it was last month or the prior month about, the topic of open session versus executive session. But the way I read our bylaws and civil code, everything else, the Open Meeting Act, it is, that any item of business is in open session. I understand this contract situation, but there's nothing sensitive in a landscape proposal. And then I asked for a formal statement for the attorney. If they're still going to say it's advice of counsel, I stand by, I want a letter from the attorney justifying this. I see our bylaws saying that they can discuss contracts in executive session. I was on the board and we did, meet with Carson face to face, and I understand the awkwardness of that. And it's not appropriate to be in person, but I don't see what is so sensitive about the landscape proposals other than, they're more or less blank checks, 4 guys, 10 days for 150,000 and 50,000 for plant materials. And then there's, no way to prove, did they do the work? There's nothing. Anyway, I think it needs to be an open, and I think I've read articles on hiding boards that hide and how it kicks them, it starts to cause a lot of turmoil and problems. And I say that's where we are. And even people that are supportive of the board, some of these people are questioning that. And I think it's something that you guys need to, come clean on and follow the law. And if it's really, the advice of counsel, then I think the council should, support it and do a write-up. So anyway.
Thank you, Ashley. Susan Timmer.
Hi, good evening. Susan Timmer from 1431 Commons. I just wanted to kind of tag along on what Will was saying. We have gotten a lot of information about the recall and why we should vote for it. And I kind of wish there was more going on about why this is not really a great thing for our community. I think it really speaks poorly of the feeling of community. I really don't understand. That's the cat, sorry about that. I don't really understand the arguments. They seem really personal and petty and kind of dressed up in garb of officialdom. And I feel like it's something that a group of people have against Christina, and they've made a federal case out of it, which is ending up costing the community a fair amount. I mean, not just in terms of the money that we're going to have to pay, but just in terms also of like a feeling of community and safety when people volunteer to participate in communities or on the board. I mean, who would want to volunteer to be on the board if
somebody is going to take issue with, you know, something that you do and dress it up as something evil. I mean, it's just really wrong. And anyway, so this is my platform for making an objection to the whole ensemble. I'd really love it if people could just talk about problems that they have with one another. Good Lord, you know, we're adults here. Anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Susan. Joan?
Joan Barrett, I live on Dunbarton, and I'm really sad at what's happened in our community. I agree with both of those people. I think this is baseless, and it makes me wonder who's going to benefit from this crap. Somebody must be benefiting. We as a community surely are not benefiting at all from this. We're turned against one another, and it's become very divisive, as I guess maybe we're following our country along. But it's still, I think it's a horrible thing, and a horrible thing to do to a person. We're not friends. I'm not friends with Christina. I respect her because she works her ass off, and nobody does as much as she has in this community. Nobody works as hard. And I do not believe that anything she did was self-serving. I do, however, believe that other people who maybe have a problem with this are self-serving. I don't know what their deal is, but I truly believe there's something. So thank you.
No, Ashley, you're not up right now. It's her. Okay, you had 2 chances. Thank you. Well, we need to let other people talk too, you know, and we have a 20-minute rule. After 20 minutes, we cut it off. 3 to 5 minutes, or in total 20 minutes.
Jerry Gelfand, 406 Elmhurst Circle. And I just also want to say I'm in support of these most recent comments. If our board members were employees, if they were under a contract, I would understand. But we're not talking, these are volunteers. They spend a great deal of time and effort doing what they do. And the only benefit they get is a kick in the butt. I just think you need to think about what it is the heck we're doing here. As I say, they're not employees. They're not contracts. These are volunteers. Give them the support that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Last call. John?
Hi, John Baker, Swarthmore Drive. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I guess I have a question. With all of the chatter that's going on about this recall election, it makes me wonder how this board is making decisions. I have been on numerous nonprofit boards and corporate boards, and decisions are made with a majority vote of the board. And nothing happens unless a majority vote. So I'd like some clarification on that. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody want to say anything?
Well, certainly on this board, and my experience on this board for the years that I've lived here, it's always majority. We have 5 people on the board. 3 must vote in favor or not for a proposal, an issue to either be approved or denied. Once the decision is made, the basic implementation comes from the office. If we approve a proposal, it next goes to our office to issue a work order or confirm a contract. So that's, the board approves it. Nobody does it on their own. It has to go through the office. then the office, when the work is done and an invoice comes in, you have to have two directors sign to pay. So it's always something where the board acts in unison, or even if you disagree, it doesn't matter. If you're not in the majority rules. And I have not ever seen it other than that, John. Is that everybody else's perception on the board? I mean, I've never seen it anything like that.
correct. Okay, anybody else want to say anything on the board? Okay, well, meeting adjourned.
We had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bill, I didn't see him.
I just didn't want him to think we.
Unadjourned.
And you got one in Zoom.
Bill Newbill, Dunbarton Circle. A few minutes ago,
need Chair with
somebody
it,
said,
yeah.
watch the
I got my hand up.
expenses of the board. I'm an insurance broker, have been for 50 years. I caution very much with what's going on in California with regards to rates. The minimum increase, I believe, for this association will be about a 30% increase, depending on what the commissioner does, California. So I caution you on the board, if you're paying $250,000, count on 30% more. As far as the flood insurance, that's not a problem, but I caution how claims are reported. If they're reported as mildew or water damage, bad idea. Report them as weathering. Don't report them as a mildew or water damage. You'll lose coverage altogether. Our last homeowners association I saw that I looked at, it was in Gold River. The premium went up $150,000. So be careful. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I appreciate it. Thank you, Bill. I guess Jerry Dunn, and that's the last one. Jerry, you're up.
Yeah. Yes, hi, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
My question was about the flood insurance and why we can't vote as a committee whether or not we should have it. The answers given to me about flood insurance were all untrue. It's not in our CCNRs. It only regards the cabana and the clubhouse, not the buildings. So the answers that were given to me are all untrue as far as the response. And I don't want to sound combative. All I'm saying is that as committee, why can't we vote on it instead of having 3 members of the board make that decision?
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Meeting adjourned.
What?